God beg you now, help us!
We shall
Today, we want them to come and make the law that will favor us and favor all Nigerians. If your tension go up, we don't understand ourselves.
For some time now, crude oil theft and destruction of product and assets such as refineries and vessels have been on the rise due to increased bunkering activities within the Niger Delta region. Despite efforts by security agents to curb the menace, it has remained unabated. One may think by so doing, the crime against the nation will be tackled and reduced to the barest minimum. This, however, has continued to rear its ugly head with its attendant environmental impact on host communities. To speak on this issue from legislative perspective is the member representing Kana-Kokana Federal Constituency in Rivers State, who is also the chairman House Committee on Host Communities, Honorable Dumnamene Deko. Honorable, you are welcome to Echoes from the National Assembly.
Thank you.
Some issues again. Before we go into discussion, let us quickly take a look at this report by our correspondent, Tokwe Alabi.
Crude oil theft may have cost the country a whopping 1.9 trillion naira revenue loss in July. The estimation followed a pronouncement by the National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu when he recently inspected oil and gas facilities in Abuja and Rivers states. Nigeria is losing over 400,000 barrels of crude oil daily due to activities of oil thieves and pipeline vandals, while the country has the capacity to produce 2 million barrels of crude oil per day. Currently, Nigeria is producing less than 1.6 million barrels due to theft and vandalization of pipelines.
400,000 barrels of crude at $80 per barrel every day, which is reported stolen, gives you $32 million. $32 million at the current exchange rate of about 760 in the I&E window will give you 24.3 billion a day, 720 billion lost to oil tips. And this is a country that looking for money to pay salaries. If we are using all our revenue to service debts, so even salaries is borrowed money, and you are losing 720 billion every month. How have other countries been able to stop it? If we said we don't even have an idea, can't we learn? A pipeline is connected. Where does it lead to? Where is that pipeline discharging its content? Nobody there manning it. Well, I'm not even discussing some local small boys carrying jerry cans. We are talking about a ship laden with 800,000 barrels of crude oil. You know what that means? This house, from the first floor up to here, cannot contain. So that can give you an idea. You know how big all those tankers are. A Camry car that in a second you disappear. It takes it time, hours, before you leave our territorial waters.
Statistics provided in August's report of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries showed that the country's July crude oil production, as provided by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited and the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, was 1 million barrels per day. The report added Nigeria's crude oil grade, Bonny Light, against which all other crude grades produced by the country were priced, was sold for $80 per barrel in July, as the exchange rate against the dollar was at 777 naira to $1 in July.
Honorable, from that report, what do you have to say on this development in the country?
It's illegal to have to be dealing in petroleum products when it's not within your mandate. When you steal public property, it is criminal. But at the same time, too, in the backwaters especially, you discover that that's where you find those activities. There are illegal refineries just scattered all over the place. If you take an overfly on the place, you will weep. You understand? And the place, the environment there is terribly degraded, terribly degraded. In fact, almost in a state of, there should be a state of emergency declared on the environment in Niger Delta. And to that extent, even the security operatives who go into contact with these criminals should devise, alternative means of dealing with the products and not just setting them ablaze. Because the more you set them ablaze, the more you are destroying both the aquatic and all of that we have there.
Are there no protocol in the management of this crude oil theft in the country?
There's a way the issue of oil theft is such that, like my place, they say, if an animal, if you go hunting and the animal runs, it becomes, very fast, you have to fire very fast. So in some cases, because of the fact that there's exchange of fire between, this illegal refiners and the security operatives, sometimes it causes that damage, and they may not be able to adhere to the laid down regulations for them to, use in destroying these things.
Burning of refineries and vessels, is it actually solving the problem or causing more damage to the region?
Arrest the vessel. I think that if you have to go and destroy the vessel and set it ablaze, you're also causing more environmental damage. But I'm happy that the arrest is going on.
What is the environmental, economic, and health impact on the host communities?
If you use Port Harcourt as a case study, there is what we call the black soot. If you know what the black soot has done to the health of our people, then there is a need to deal decisively with issues of illegal refinery. Because they are burning it. When you now arrest them and also burn it, you're also increasing it. So I remember when the former governor of Rivers State was still governor of Rivers State, he came out frontally to address these issues, and they went in to arrest the situation, and it went down. I hear it's coming up, but I think I still need to commend the civil defense, the Nigerian Navy, and even the Air Force to an extent, the way they're handling these issues. And Tantita is doing very, very well, especially when it comes to this issue of, the theft. And I strongly believe that given a better environment and cooperation, they will do a lot better. So the issue of those laid down procedures, in most cases, are not followed because of the way the thing is going on. Because almost every kilometer, you find a refinery. So how do you deal with those issues? And these people are those who are resident around those areas. Though they have sponsors outside, the major people who are doing it are the big and mighty. But they have to use the locals because they know the terrain and all of that. So that's why you see it's a thriving business. A lot of things are into it. But I'm happy it's coming under control gradually.
What is the position of the international community given the fact that Nigeria is signatory to some conventions and treaties? We only see the environment being degraded lately by the activities of these illegal refiners. If you take a look at the issue of gas flare, it's another very dangerous trend. Very, very dangerous trend. And so, internationally, if you pollute an environment, you pay. There's a polluter pay policy. If you go to a community called Bodo in Bukana local government area in Rivers State, the community had to take Shell to court. And there's a law firm in the UK, Lide. They quickly intervened
If not, they would have lost. And they were able to secure justice for people. I think they paid about £55 million, and they are restoring that environment now. We are signatories to all these conventions, and we must make sure that it's adhered to. I think the issues of you find NOSDRA, you find the Ministry of Environment, and other relevant government agencies must be alive to our responsibilities to make sure that the issue of pollution is reduced drastically.
What do you think is the solution to some of these challenges facing the region?
Mind you, there are issues of wells that some of them are not as productive as they ought to be. So they are abandoned. And those abandoned wells, they are not decommissioned. So the locals, use it as an avenue of going to make a living. So NOSDRA and all these other agencies must make sure that any well that is abandoned, they must be decommissioned. If you have a facility like Shell in a particular place and it's no longer in use, or any company whatsoever, they should be able to decommission completely so that environment will be seen to be the way it was. I hope the PIA will address some of these issues, even if there are a lot of gaps. It's like that in every law, there are gaps, but I believe with the regulations also coming up from the NUPRC and all of that, I believe some of these issues will be properly addressed.
Do you see the Petroleum Industry Act coming to solve this problem?
Oh yes, to a great extent. Like I said, there is it's a new law, and it's being tested. So in the process of testing it, you may find some gaps, and if you find those gaps, there is also room for amending those gaps. So, but for me, it's the very best thing that has happened to the industry as a whole, both the communities, the industry players, and the regulators, because everything is laid down. When you find gaps, there must be a way of ensuring that those gaps are closed. But I believe when it fully comes into operation, these issues will be better addressed than what used to be.
What is the standard procedure in other climes with similar environmental problems?
You discover that most of the infrastructure that is being relied upon by most of these companies are becoming very obsolete. There are pipelines that have been laid for the past 40, 50 years. And so the integrity of those facilities you can't just depend on them anymore. Now, because of what is going on in the region, which is one, the level of deprivation of the people. You have a house, you have a stream that maybe you could just walk into the stream, and before you know, you have got some protein for you to be able to make food to eat. But unfortunately, you don't find that anymore. What do? Some of them resort to going to, some of those pipes that are no longer, able to withstand the test of time. And that's how you see they get involved. But with the PIA, if the 3%, which is allocated to the host communities, if it is properly determined, paid to those host communities development trusts that are put in place, where they are put in place, and it is properly managed, I strongly believe that the issue of communities getting involved in some of these activities will be reduced completely, because they will now understand that we have a stake. But prior to this time, they had no stake whatsoever. Not a penny was allocated to any community or any host community for anything. All that was allocated to the host community was pain, misery, poverty, hunger, deprivation, and in some cases death. Because the companies will just come and in some cases come with the soldiers or whoever they come with, and they'll run down some of these persons without even actually getting to know exactly why these things are happening. You see where some of the communities, they go and lay siege on some of the oil platforms and all of that. It's not because they don't have what to do, but because you are degrading the environment. The fish they used to eat, they can't find it, they can't farm, and then yet you are scooping oil from their land and also messing the entire place. So anybody will react. I'm not defending the communities anyway, but it's simple logic.
Do you
And
see
so,
these solutions coming in quickly?
yes, the solutions will come in quickly if the PIAs operated to the letter. First of all, I understand there are about 90 HCDTs already in place. We've not confirmed them, but we've already invited NUPRC and some other agencies to come and tell us what they are doing. We're going to get most of the IOCs to come before the committee, and then we weigh what they are doing against what is being done or what they ought to do. And then if there are gaps, we immediately step in. But I can assure those from the host communities that it is now history that anybody will pitch one person in another community against the other. That divide and rule has ended.
What is the role of the people of the Niger Delta in solving this problem?
They must come together, work together for the development of their own land. The funds that are going to be made available to each of these communities will not be given to the chief or the CDC chairman or myself or you. It is going to be in the general interest of everybody. So if it is a school they want to build, you go ahead. You determine what you want. The community will determine what they want. You don't give them water when they already have water. So it is as of need that these funds will be utilized. So I believe that the host communities will have more confidence and trust in now what we call a partnership, because the PIA, as it is to be operated, is going to be like a partnership. Because if you know that this is what comes to you as a community, and this is a company that is working in your place, I mean, you simply would have to work with them, protect their facilities, for you to continue to get your 3%. So I think it's a wonderful thing that has happened.
Now, what is your assessment of the ongoing Ogoni cleanup?
Well, I would not be able to give you an assessment, one, because this committee, the host communities committee of the National Assembly, I'm able to say that of the Senate is headed by distinguished Senator Benson Agadaga, and then that of the House is headed by me, that is chairing the committees, and we have come up with a work plan. This is a new season, it's a new House, this is a 10th Assembly. The work plan, we have already adopted it as a committee. So I won't be able to give you exactly what it is, because what used to be may have changed. We are going to do our oversight visits and also request for all the things we will need to enable us to do a proper appraisal of the activities going on there. I don't know if that's what I'm trying to say. So I am sure that before we go on the Christmas break, we will be able to tell you exactly what is on ground as it affects the Ogoni cleanup, which is being handled by HYPREP, which is the hydrocarbon pollution remediation project. Okay. So we believe strongly that after our visit, we can tell you exactly what is going on.
Honorable, I understand that you sponsored a bill on the floor of the House for the establishment of a skills acquisition institute in the region. What is it all about?
Well, it's been my desire, right from the 9th Assembly. It's been I think that then it got to the point of, it was committed to a committee, and but unfortunately the public, we couldn't do the public hearing. So we have had to present it again. It's also gone through second reading. I want to urge my very dear colleagues to support this bill so that the needed impact will be felt in our society. Thank you very much. It is an interesting bill because it seeks to establish the Niger Delta Institute of Technology and Skills Acquisition somewhere in the community, somewhere in Rivers State. Now, it is very, very important because there is a dearth. When you look at the issues of our artisans, we don't find them anymore. When you look at maybe those who are into mercenary work, those who are plumbers, just mention them. Electricians, automobile, those who are into all of that, and so many other things. The ICT, web design, and all of that. We don't find them. If you want to build a house, it doesn't matter the part of Nigeria you are. It will surprise you that those who come and do this plaster of Paris, this POP, maybe those from Togo, from neighboring countries. And so to that extent, I believe that with the high level of unemployment that we find today, if we're able to provide such an institution that will enable people to have all kinds of skills, plumbing, all kinds of things, welding and all of that, they will train and have certificates and also relevant experience. One problem we're having is that we have a lot of degrees around, we have a lot of certificates, diplomas and all of that. We don't find alternative things to do because our curriculum does not include, such capacity. And so we believe that this particular institute will take care of all those who are prepared to have some skill in addition to maybe their certificates. So you find somebody who may have a degree in mathematics, there is no employment, but it can be very useful with any skill that he has acquired. And he would even employ others. And so when you limit it to just paper certificates, where people just go and look for white-collar jobs, that's why our population is, as it affects the issue of employment, is increasing every day. Yes, there was just one dissenting voice, which of course I welcomed it so much, but it is not meant particularly for only those in the oil-producing or Niger Delta states. Do you understand? It's an institution that is that of a Nigerian institution, but we're also going to seek how best to get funding for the school so that it will be sustainable. One thing I can tell you is this. I am sure there are states like Rivers and a few other states that are prepared to get small industrial hubs where those who train in particular skills can be put together to practice. So to that extent, if other states, local governments, and even the federal government get involved in things like that, we'll get people off the street. Let me give you a serious example. We have the amnesty program. This amnesty program is a very, very good program. Of course, it is an interventionist program, which was geared towards ensuring that we could get as much as we could get in terms of production. It has paid off. But is it sustainable? The answer is no. I strongly bear the opinion that yes, people have suffered. If you pay them as much as you're paying them now, and also create skills through some of these institutions, it will enable them to take care of their families and become self-employed and also employ other people. So if you direct the skills you are talking about at them, even those from Sambisa, they can come and get skills. Those from wherever, they'll come and get skills. And it's going to be a very, very, very serious catalyst in our attempt to develop as a people. But I believe strongly that government must take it very seriously. I strongly believe that with what Mr. President is doing, by his grace, if we go through public hearing and it gets to the point of assent from the president, I strongly believe that Mr. President was sent to it, because it's going to be a watershed. It's going to take care of the issues of creating unemployment through just getting certificates. I strongly believe that.
Our students for I take God beg you now. Help us!
Today, we want them to come and make the law that will favor us and favor all Nigerians.
If your tension go up, we don't understand ourselves.